أنا عندي سؤال بس كان بدي
We're waiting
أسألك
for
وراح
our friends. Sorry.
عندي
We are
سؤال.
reporting now. Yes. How many are we now? 19. Sorry.
اوكي كان بدي اسالك قلت انه بيكون في اوبسيون incorrect لانه نحن شفنا اول ناس يلي كانوا عم يحفروا او ليعملوا ايماج وهلا عم نشوف انه في دوزيام اوبسيون فيك بس بليز تعيد شو كنت عم تقول لانه ما
هو
كثير
الاوبسيون هو نحن الهومو سيبينز
يس
انه نحن اللي خلقنا الريبرزنتيشن ناتشوراليستيك ريبرزنتاسيون naturaliste يعني basé sur les éléments de la nature. ثاني اوبسيون هي النياندرتاليان قبلنا. انه some of the oldest representational art is 65,000 years ago.
يعني we're still not sure بالمية مين يلي بلش.
ما في شيء بالساينس for me. Science as a matter of principle بيقبل انه هو معقول يكون غلطان. هيدي قوته. It's a constant process of improvement, of self-improvement. هيدي القوة طبعا.
طب ما لقوا
بس ما فهمتش.
بليز احكي sorry.
Go ahead. Okay. ما نفهم الفرق between the two theories. إنه why does this cancel that?
Why does what?
يعني ليش تينا وحدة؟
Well, Neanderthals are not Homo sapiens. نحن Homo sapiens. نحن كنا مفكرين إنه نحن خلقنا ال representational art. هلا إذا هذا الديتنج مضبوط إنه لا في traces of representational art, representation of nature that the Neanderthals did 15,000 years before us. أكثر كمان. 65, yeah, about even more, perhaps 25,000. In fact, 25,000 years ago. قبلنا. يعني هن السباقين ايش نعمل؟
الهومو سابينز من كم
بس هن
جوها
مين اوكي انا هحكي
نحن حاسين حالنا انه نحن لسه كنا وفجأة بنلاقي جوها
بس قصدي هن سباقين على شو؟ هن سباقين على شو؟
representation of naturalistic elements. فرجعتكم الصورة.
يعني كيف رسموا على الكهف أو كيف يعني.
إيه مش إنه بس element geometric.
Yeah.
Elements that are clearly representational. Let me share it with you.
Okay.
Screen share. And this.
الهومو سابينز من قد إيه صار لهم؟ كم سنة؟
That's a matter of debate. Okay, but you can say about 200,000 years ago. That would be a very approximative date. About 200,000 years ago, نبلش نشوف archaic Homo sapiens.
All right. Okay, noted.
All right, are we ready? Everybody here?
Yep.
لا أستاذ في عالم بدها تفوت ناطرين
كمان بعد
ما بعرف هلا عم يحكوا
where are we participants? Admit. All right. So, عم تشوف الصورة؟
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to نوصل لعنا عند البشر عند الهومو سابينز لأنه نياندرتالز كمان بشر. The greater number of images that we have discovered, besides in Europe, and we're limiting ourselves to Europe now, is in caves. Why in caves? Well, for a very simple reason. Humans did not live in caves. Caves were only occasional places to live for humans. We're talking about a generalized view. There might be some exceptions, as in South Africa, for instance, but generally speaking, humans did not live in caves. They only used caves periodically for, why? Well, because their lifestyle was a hunter-gatherer, was constantly moving, forced to be constantly moving. Okay. But there are caves within which we find enormous amounts of drawings. 600, 400, 600, 650 drawings. Enormous numbers. And dating indicates that these caves were, in some cases, occupied for some thousands of years. And what this tells us is that, in fact, these were, we know that from hunting, from comparative anthropology, and from direct evidence on the Paleolithic, that hunters had regular routes. For instance, there is this river in Germany. We know that Homo sapiens regularly stopped there. Why did they stop there regularly? Because the form of gazelles, of the form of deer, crossed that river at a particular period in time. So they would wait for them and hunt them. We know from direct evidence and from comparative anthropology that they were constantly moving. But this movement was followed regular paths. This wasn't an arbitrary movement. This was a movement based on knowledge. Okay, during this period of the year, there is this animal in X region. Okay, I will go to X region. When passing towards this region, if I go to the left, there's good foraging. There's some plant that I can eat. If I go to the right, I'm gonna go hungry. So I go to the left, and then so there are ways, there are roads that they took that had some regularity, not full regularity, but had some regularity to them. What does that mean? What it means is that these caves are even more remarkable. Why? Well,
Sorry,
because,
doctor, can you add Dina?
Sorry?
Can you add Dina?
Okay. Is that these caves are even more remarkable. And why are they more remarkable? Because they were, in fact, visited for thousands of years. There was no nutritional reasons for them to be visited. But we see the traces of these visits in the representations and in human activity within them. These caves, for instance, caves such as Chauvet, we find no traces of food. So people weren't eating there. People weren't living there. They visited them and they left traces of a nature that is obviously not animal, not related to nutrition. This is the Grotte de Chauvet, Pont d'Arc. The Chauvet cave was discovered in 1994, and it's one of the greatest discoveries of the 20th century. It's even more important than Tutankhamun. much more important than Tutankhamun. Yeah? Tutankhamun, the discovery of Tutankhamun was a small event in history in terms of the historical importance. This is much more important. So why is it so important? Well, this is what they discovered in Cave Chauvet. This is near the beginning of the entrance to the cave. I want you to look at these prints. These are handprints. I'll explain them to you in a few seconds. These are handprints, and I want you to look at them. Do you see anything in them?
No, there's an animal shape.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, animal shape.
It seems that this person, and we know it's one person. Let me show them to you. It seems that he was either suggesting the form of a bison or a rhinoceros. And I want you to look at these traces here. Do you see that? شايفينهم هولي? You see those?
كلنا شايفين.
Okay. These are natural traces. What do they suggest? It's reading, you're interpreting, but it's so are they. It suggests, in fact, the external form of the animal. Somebody looked at this wall, and like you would look at the of some piece of some baqha على some wall, and he saw something and he expressed it. But he expressed it in a very particular way. What do we know about this person? Well, he measured about 1.75 meters, 5'10", 1.76 meters. He or she, we don't know, used his or her right hand, and they were able to reconstruct the way that he used his right hand, his or her right hand, in order to create what appeared to be the form of an animal. And you see it here, it continues. The hands on these هون ما في ايدين, and they were not able to reconstruct their position, that's all. But they exist. And this individual had, you see, شايفين الفينجر تبعه, it's slightly crooked, مطعوج, اصبعه شوي مطعوج. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay. We know from this that this is a single individual and that he left traces in the inside of the Chauvet caves. And you see, in effect, that this is this practice of placing the hand on the wall and leaving some trace on it is, in fact, something that we see throughout the region of Europe, up to the regions of Asia. In Asia, there's even more ancient traces left. This is a hand of one of your ancestors. And if you look, this is also the traces. So there are, in fact, two ways of leaving hand marks. One is the stencil. You place your hand on the wall, and either through some, osprey or directly, you place pigment in your mouth and you push it onto the wall. The other way is you place pigment with some element containing the pigment, a liquid element containing the pigment. You place it on your hand, and with that you leave traces, just like this person did.
I thought this was blood, by the way.
No, no. This was pigment, drop.
Okay, yeah.
And we know from this that this is in fact a very deliberate action, that he is signifying something, the presence of something. He's not representing something in this sense. He is signifying its presence. This is important. This is a very important distinction. He's not saying, I'm going to draw a rhinoceros or I'm going to draw a bison. He is saying, there is a bison here, and I am going to enter into contact with it. This is what he's doing, leading to representation. We'll see why this distinction is extremely important. And we see, in fact, that this is a practice that we see it in throughout wherever Homo sapiens are. This is, for instance, in Kafka's cave, next to Marsilia. The cave is today completely submerged. You know, when the Holocene came, when the global warming came about 12,000 years ago, the ice in Europe melted. And what it did was raise the level of the Mediterranean, so that there was, in fact, caves, but the entry of these caves are now under the sea. But if you go into the caves, if you go under the water, you swim under the water, you can go up and you will find the caves. You still can find these caves. And عندكم مي الكيف هيك. عندكم مي تغطسوا, you enter, and then you can go up and you still find a piece of the cave here.
عمال معروف فوت لورينا من بعد عمرك.
Okay, Lorena. All right, Lorena, may I ask if you kindly ما بقى تفوتوا مأخرين لأنه we're constantly عندنا زيت المشكلة.
هي عم بتفوت وعم يفصل عندها الإنترنت. عم تطلع وتفوت كل شوي.
All right, thank you. Yes, okay.
سؤال هودا الكيفز وين موجودين؟
مارسيل هون. هيدي مارسيل. كارشوفي بأرداش كله بفرنسا. في إسبانيا. Okay, so كله باليوروبيان North European region. And look at this one. This is Peshmerl, cavern Peshmerl. وطلع. This is the same practice as you saw here. What is it? Signifying عم يرسموا. But in this case, what did the artist do? He created the outline of the animal and then he signified it with these hand gestures.
بس في شخصين بس بالنسبة للإيدين.
حصانين قصدك يا ما شخصين؟
لا الإيد اليمين عملت اليمين غير الإيد اليمين على ميلة الشمال آخر واحدة أصغر.
معقول؟ it's possible.
هيك مبين.
ومعك حق لأنه يمكن هذا الإصبع الصغير أكبر من الإصبع الصغير in proportion to هوليكي.
يمكن
يعني
كل واحد رسم
الإصبع الصغير أصغر من أكبر. go on.
وحتى اثنيناتهم يعني غير اللي محطوطة تحت الجاش شوفال هيدا تحت بالكعب كتير خفيفة مبينة.
Yeah.
يعني زاحف على
so
الأرض
there's
هيدا.
probably very precise study to indicate whether this is the same person, yes or no. It's very difficult هلا نحن تنشوف.
Okay.
ما فينا نعرف.
Yeah.
So, and this is in fact Kerr Chauvet, and it tells you something. This is where it is. Tells you something. It's actually quite not easy to get there.
Yeah.
These caves were, in some cases, very, very hard to reach. We have these caves, for instance, in Italy, for instance, there is this cave, small tunnel. You can barely climb into it. بدك تزحف تفوت فيها. It's about 30 meters. It's within a cave. It's about 30 meters. And at the end of the cave, you have a drawing. What happened? Somebody entered into the cave, saw this tunnel in the cave, where you almost are barely unable to enter. He entered into this tunnel and he painted, and then he went out.
Oh.
Why? Why did he do that? شو بيه؟ You have these people entering into these caves. These are rather dangerous places. You have cave bears, you have animals, and there's no food there. So why did they enter there for thousands of years? What made them engage in what is apparently a completely useless effort? Why do that?
تيقولوا انه هم كانوا موجودين هونيك.
خلينا نبلش بفاتن. فاتن؟
تيقولوا دكتور انه كانوا موجودين هونيك، يعني انه الانسان كان.
انت بتفوتي على فكري فيها بهذا الطريقه. في عندك سوسول بالبنايه عندكم. بتفوتي عليه انت تقولي انا كنت هونيك؟
لا.
These were very intelligent people by the way. Why would they do that?
طب
معقول يكونوا اصطادوا نوع من الحيوانات معين، حطوا إشارة إنه هذا النوع من الحيوانات موجود.
نحن طلعنا على
We know why. I'll tell you why. لأنه we can speculate anytime, but there's no animals. There's the only animal that's there is the cave bear. Very dangerous.
نحن طلعنا على إيفرست. لا طلع الإنسان على جبل إيفرست وزرع علم، وعلى القمر وزرع علم. ما فوق ما في كمان فود وما في شيء. يعني كمان إنه ما إلها عازي. يعني كمان يمكن هون كمان عم يعملوا هيك، إنه إنجاز بالنسبة لهم أو شيء شغلي، إنه قدروا يطلعوا هالمنطقة.
غلط نفكر فيها كنوع
exploring بركي.
كمان بالضبط.
غلط نفكر فيها كنوع إنجاز. But this is something that they did for thousands of years and they drew images there. رسموا صور هونيك. والصور هونيك منا بس إنه شكيد مرة من هنا.
Probably warning. warning. اللي بركي يجي بعدين.
ما في غزلان، رسموا غزلان، ما في أحصنة بالكهف. تعرفوا أنتم في أحصنة بالكهف؟ رسموا أحصنة.
بس هن كانوا
رسموا أسودة. ما في راينوسيروس وحيد القرن. في وحيد قرن بالكهف؟ ما رسموا وحيد القرن. ماموت. تعرفوا الماموت؟ ابن عمه للفيل يعني.
طب بلكي لما كانوا يخافوا من هودي الحيوانات يهربوا لهيك محلات يرسموهم تتذكروا شكلهم بلكي؟
ايه بس دكتور هن طلعوا لبرا وشافون، كان من هيك قدروا يعرفوا شو هن ورسمون.
مظبوط، كانوا برا يشوفون برا وبأكد لكم
ايه كان من هيك انه رسمون.
البشر ما كانوا هالضحايا. البشر كانوا الأرجح أخطر حيوان على الأرض. ليه؟ بنعرف هذا الشيء مثلا ب
معقولة اللي عم
Nadine, when I talk, when you sorry, go ahead, Nadine. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine.
No.
Fine, never mind.
So humans were for very long time are for the most dangerous animals on earth. Animals that were not co-evolved with humans as in what happened in, for instance, in Australia, and no, not Australia, sorry, in North America. في حيوانات منهم معودين علينا. وصلوا البشر على North America about 14,000 years ago. There were animals that did not recognize us. They saw the thing on two legs. قالوا شو هو هذا؟ These animals got extinct really, really fast. اختفوا. ليه؟ Because they did not recognize how dangerous we were. Lions, usually in Africa, you notice it, tend to avoid humans. They recognize how dangerous they are, unless the human is in a particularly vulnerable position. Animals tend to avoid us because we are extremely dangerous. So there is no this idea that these were afraid. These humans were afraid of the animals. No, they respected the animals. They recognized how dangerous they were, as the animals recognized how dangerous the humans were.
But as you previously said, they were shorter than us, and
No, they were not.
Oh, they weren't shorter than us?
Nope.
It might be for ritual reasons.
Paleolithic, the people in the Paleolithic were in fact taller than the people who came after them, the agriculturalists.
Oh, okay.
Because they ate better. They ate meat much more than the agricultural people did.
All right.
So if you take the Lebanese, for instance, in the 19th century, 145, 150 meters. 1 meter 45, excuse me, not 145. 1 meter 45, 1 meter 50. Petronos. Your father's grandpa, for instance, probably was about 1 meter, 1 meter and a half. You're taller. Why? Because your food is better. The food of the people of the Paleolithic was better than that of the agriculturists. Yes,
Paleolithic was like 100,000 years ago?
Sorry?
Paleolithic was 100,000 years ago?
Paleolithic ended about 12,000 years ago.
About how?
Ended about 12,000 years ago. The Paleolithic is, in fact, you can define it as, if you want to start with the human presence, about 3.8 million years ago. Okay, so what were we saying then? These were very, very dangerous caves. So why did the humans visit them? Why?
For rituals? Rituals? بيعملوا كانوا rituals فيهم?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only logical explanation. Why would you, the only explanation, as far as we know, there might be some other, but they're unlikely, much more unlikely. The only likely explanation that this was a ritualistic space, sacred space. Humans had evolved as religious animals, as spiritual animals. Let's not use the word religious because it implies institutions. They had what can be described as spiritual practices. So this is, in fact, the best explanation for these spaces. And this is the trace of Chauvet Cave. I'm not going to show you this. And when Monsieur Antoine Chauvet discovered this in 1994, this is one of the first animals that he saw. This is the, and he recognized, okay, we are in something really, really special here.
مش هيدا دب؟
دب.
أو شيء.
طب ليه ما اقول اللي هول اللي عم يدوروا على هالكوفة يفوتوا على هيك محل؟
في spelunking شيء اسمه speleology يعني في عالم الهواية تبعهم استكشاف الكهوف. And Antoine Chauvet and two of his companions, I don't remember their name, were amateurs of this sport. It's a sport.
Okay. All right.
And this is another animal. It's not very clear, the image here. Another of the animals that they discovered. This is clearly a bison. And these animals that you see here, either a spotted hyena or a panther, or maybe both. Spotted hyena here and a panther here. And this is a rhinoceros, indicates the extinctions in Europe. There's no rhinoceros in Europe today. طبعا في rhinoceros.
كيف كانوا يوصلوا على السقف؟
This isn't very high. But they, in some cases, they did use very primitive form of scales, some very form of ladders. And this, you know what it is, of course. Mammoth. تعرفوا الماموت؟
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these, and one of the most remarkable images of the Paleolithic, these. So the questions we are going to ask today is.
فرجتنا هودي قبل هيديك المرة ولا؟
لا.
والله.
هودي مين رسمهم يعني بأي عصر؟ عصر الحجري هول؟
Yeah, Paleolithic, origination period of the Paleolithic. Upper Paleolithic, origination period. Between about 36,000 years ago. 36 to 35,000 years ago, they started the occupation of Asia. Okay? So the question is we're gonna try to discover today is why did they paint them? We're gonna take a break, 10-minute break. This year, 1:15. And we are going to examine one of the most remarkable images in human history. In a cave called Lascaux, and the image is called the dead man, l'homme mort. Okay? All right, we'll stop
بدي
here.
أسألك شغلة.
Yes.
سمعني. معقولة هيدا الكهف اللي فوق اللي كان على الجبل، معقولة كانوا يطلعوا مثلا يعبدوا هيدا الحيوان فوق مثلا؟
ايه لا، علاقتهم مع الحيوانات وهلا بنشوف انه ما كانت علاقة عبادة بالمعنى اللي نحن عنا اياه. العبادة هو شيء ظهر مع ظهور الحضارة. Okay, so we'll discuss this when we at 11:26. All right. Can I ask? بدي أطلب منكم. I'm gonna take like maybe 5 to 10 minutes additional. Would this bother you? You can فينا نخصمهم من كور تاني ما في مشكلة. All right.
No problem.
No problem. Sure.
Okay. So we'll stop here and take our return at 4:27. Sorry, at 1:27. Yeah, 1:27.
Okay, so at 2:26.
1:27.